Hi, welcome back to channel FIFA Mobile. Alright, this is new coming tomorrow, UCL. Apparently, that's the number of matches or skill games you're going to play. You're going to choose. Later on, I will go to in depth with you, but now just for an overview. Then, of course, there's the versus play as well as a match. Proceed to the finals, you get more, and of course, there's a reward path. Alright, but before that, let's quickly go through the rewards I got from this TOTY. Apparently, these are the few last moments of the TOTY that make sure you remember to claim your rewards, alright? And of course, not forgetting to not throw them into the TOTY exchange. Use that for your national hero journeys instead of so-called the hero's journey instead. All right. So just remember this: do not throw into the TOTY exchanges; they are useless. All right. So very quickly after this claim, and that's the end of the TOTY session. Very quickly, let's go to the events that's happening tomorrow. So now let's take a look at this UCL. All right. So generally, it's basically a path that they call it the new road to the final players. You receive an upgrade based on the UCL progression itself. Okay, so there will be players versus players, kind of play I've seen just now. Amount the progress, you got to make sure you win players versus players, and then of course that comes with a match before you can progress further. So you go through the knockout stages and eventually reach the finals. I'll come to the details later on with the picture. I think it's easier to understand. The road to the finals players, they call it RTTF Players. So they are saying that every club will have 5 of these RTTF players each, and a total of 40 in total. So we can guess that there are 8 clubs in total, right? So what's going to happen is that with the real event that happens, the winners would get a +1 OVR in that context, okay? But this, I think, generally is not within our control and why. So these RTT players will receive OVR upgrades if your club advances to the next stage of the competition, qualify for semi-finals or finals, or eventually win the finals. Then there will be a +1 OVR along the way, okay? So all this is part of the in-game, but I really don't know how that really work out in this juncture. But eventually, what we really know is in terms of the skill games and the matches, you got to choose, because apparently there is a table we're going to share with you very quickly in terms of getting which skill games to play with. And let's see the basic event flow. They are saying there's a daily skill games and matches in the main chapter to earn the UCL points. So take on the weekly, like I said, the player versus player road to finals. You earn UCL points and of course UCL players, and then you can exchange using the trophy. You must win the final to get 1 trophy, and I think you need 3 trophies to get a 109 UCL players. The details will be shared very quickly. Alright, so you spend the UCL points, then of course you claim rewards in the reward path chapter. You complete these milestones, and eventually you have tokens in a way. So these are the currency in 3 types: UCL points, trophies, and tokens. Alright, so you learn that these are the 3 currency in the whole game. Just remember this: points, trophies, tokens. You earn the UCL points in the main chapter, then of course you earn trophies as well. Then you can use those earned tokens in the reward path. It may seem a bit confusing at this juncture. With the picture, you'd be so much easier to understand. Very quickly, let's enter into the main chapter itself. Okay, so in the main chapter itself, there's a table that actually allows you to understand how this whole thing works. Alright, so in the main chapter, you're going to play daily skill games and matches to earn the UCL points. Of course, it comes with players and extra resources. You're going to complete in a road to the championship to a weekly challenge with great rewards, they call it. End of the day, there's a 106 player waiting for you in a milestone. You complete 15 skill games and matches, and then you get this reward on a weekly basis. There are 7 different types of skill games and matches waiting for you to enjoy. Unlock 2 option daily by claiming the random UCL matches keys itself. Alright, so for example, if you claimed one of the keys, and you can open up to a choice of yours. So every Wednesday you have 2 extra of those match days for the duration. You get add-ons to unlock extra keys. So there's a choice. You can see here, apparently you can choose among the skill games and matches, and of course there's also a reward. So let's quickly jump into the table, take a look at it. Alright, so if you choose to play a skill game of 1, you basically get this earning 5 points. So just take a look at the details here, zoom zoom-in version. Apparently, with what you want, if you want to play the skill game 2, you may get the highest UCL points. Okay, so of course, if you are into the training transfers, then probably match 3 using the match key 5 would be basically an alternative that you want to take a look at. All right, so of course, details will become when we come to the game itself. Currently, this is just reading plainly from the guide. Okay, so once we gone into the real event, probably we have a better understanding of how this thing work out. But apparently, just take note this: you don't have a second chance if you lose in the skill games. All right, so you got to really focus. So just make sure you do that. All right, so this is something to make sure. Let's take a look in terms of this. This is the one been talking about players versus players. That's not a choice. You got to complete the VSA, which is player versus players. Then you play against the computer match, and once both are completed, then you advance to round 16, quarter, semi, and eventually the finals. Okay, so generally, this is how it works out. One ticket allows you to play 2 VSA and match. As you progress further, you get higher number of rewards, and eventually, when you go to round 16, quarters, semi, and final, definitely you earned a trophy. All right, you need 3 trophies in order to 109 player, the CV Antonio, or a Hurricane. Right, so this is something we're looking for, but it just means you got to win 3 finals. Not easy though. The fact that they've really mixed up the fact of both VSA and match required. So really, we need to think how we go about this, because otherwise we miss the trophy. We may not have a chance to get 3 and then to change for your favorites 109 here. Okay, next let's take a look at the circular, or they call it cycles of rewards. All right, so you can earn tokens every time you complete a full circle. Okay, so generally there's a full circle, you get 1 token itself. So each reward on the reward path requires 60 UCL points. Yeah, so 60 UCL points, you may have a potential reward, they call it, to get back to your course. So the first reward to guaranteed a 100 plus OVR UCL. Next, you have a training transfer. So it's really great in the context. I think here you're putting a bit of training transfers here. Generally, what we are really looking for is the 1 UCL token. Right, so that's only you complete the full circle, and of course, you got to make sure you have the 60 UCLs win back as much as possible, but it's not within the control. It's a matter of chance, and definitely EA won't make this easy at all. Okay, so we have completed this few. Now let's move on to the last segment, which is the milestone. So once you have exchanged tokens to complete the milestones, you will get fantastic players like this. Okay, so these fantastic players, you can see 106, 107, 108, and then there's a milestone 2, and if things repeats again, it's 107, 108 again. So let's see how things work out, how many players you can get. All right, so there's another exchange here that you take a look, and definitely I don't think this is something that will go into, but there's something I'm going to share later on in the spoiler section, that is it. I'll come to that later on. But now let's take a look why I don't want to enter into this, because the requirements is exorbitant. You need 8 numbers of the 101 or 102 in exchange for the 103 most likely, and hence on and so forth. 110 you need 6 numbers of 109, and 112 you need 3 numbers of 111. So that's exorbitant and it's not really fair. Last but not least, after that you have a challenge mode. I guess this will be the difficult semi-final skill games that we all hate as much, right? So not too sure right now whether they are inserting that crazy semi-final skill game as into this challenge mode, but it seems like it. But again, let's see how things work out. If there's a different skill game, probably it's a chance to share with you how the skill game looks like. And I'm not too sure whether the skill game would be continuously the same throughout the whole UCL. Okay, so generally this happens on a weekly basis. As usual, is nothing different from the TOTY, just repeating in terms of the game. Alright, so this is a spoiler I'm talking about. Let's click on the spoiler that share with you that EA just mentioned that they hear you ridiculous. They doesn't hear us, right? So they listen to feedback that the market in the TOTY sucks, and that's how players get frustrated, difficult to sell the players. So they committed in a way to make things even more complicated by having two sets of players. One is auctionable and one is not. And then auctionable, you can claim it from the exchange or store. The non-auctionable, then you can put in the exchanges to earn auctionable players. So generally, that's how they hear you. All right. So the UCL players would then have a reduced minimum price kept, and that's how they will basically punish players, free-to-play players in a way, based on the market price. That's how they want to have the same price cap as all other 80 to 110 OVR players as they deem so. All right. I hope you enjoy this introduction, and hope you good luck in the UCL. Goodbye.